Janine Gibbons. Hello, how are you?
Hello, thank you for having me.
Certainly. So I have known Janine since first grade. We grew up on a little town on an island in Southeast Alaska. This is episode 12. And I'm really happy to have Janine with us. She is joining us from Colorado. You're in Durango, right?
I'm in Colorado. Yep, Durango, Colorado right now.
Awesome. And I realized you've been doing jewelry for what, 20 plus years now?
20 years. I actually started here in Durango 20 years ago. Um, yeah, I was going to Fort Lewis College and uh, what happened? Oh, I had been living in Ventura with my brother and he had given me a necklace. And then I thought that was really cool. And then when I moved to Durango, I started making jewelry. And that was it never ended. But if I don't include my brother in the story, I will never live it down. So
Yes, I should say I've known your brother for as long as I've known you, and that does ring true. So wherever you are, hi Jeremy.
yeah.
Um, and so I know because I have actually I think it was probably one of the first pieces that you sold, or one of the first shows you did in Petersburg. I actually have it was gemstone jewelry, and then you quickly moved into your enamel arts.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was like, oh, this was like one of the first first
I love those original pieces. Like they have so much history in them now. You can like really feel like when somebody like shows me their stuff, I'm like, wow, like this necklace has had like so much history and you can tell it's been on a journey. And those stone ones were like when I first started, because I would go individually find all the stones. So they all had like a lot of meaning to me just making them. So
yeah, and I know for myself, I don't make as much, but I collect a lot of jewelry making pieces. And it's
mhm.
like you remember like, oh yeah, I got that bead at this market on this day. And so you always remember like the history. And I think that, actually that tells quite a bit of kind of full circle of where you are, today as an artist. And you've
Mhm.
how many books have you published? Four, three,
Oh,
or
I've
illustrated?
illustrated 3 books for the Alaska Heritage Institute. I only have one book with me. Um, Raven Makes the Illusions, but this we won some awards with this, and yeah, 3 books. And then right now I'm illustrating 4 books. I but I'll have 2 coming out fall of 2020 and then 2021 and then 2022. But they're all Haida books. Robert Davidson and his daughter Sarah Davidson. So I'm telling a lot of his stories as a youth and like how he was inspired to make all of his monumental art. And yeah, it's quite an honor to do the work I'm doing right now. It's pretty amazing that I get to that I get to tell these stories and share these stories. But definitely the Alaska Heritage Institute books, the first 3 books, uh, the woman who married the bear, the woman who was taken away by killer whales. It's really long. I think I said the title wrong every time. And then Raven Makes the Illusions. Those were like huge journeys through like different aspects of being an Alaskan or a Northwest Coast Indigenous person, relearning the symbols and kind of the things, the ancient language, relearning the ancient language and symbols and things. Could have never prepared me for how my life would have changed since I started illustrating compared to when I just made jewelry. That seemed very lighthearted and very it just also the storytelling is it takes it to a whole nother level. So then even when I'm making jewelry, like each piece like is really like, and this is when I was going through that and that, because it's always something new. So they all have their own stories within like when I've created it. Just because there's so much happening, if that makes sense. It's like
Yeah.
just books to illustration and murals and just everything to do with telling the story of the land.
Well, and there's such I mean, especially for like a culture that's so orally, and then they always made these amazing
I think that it's locked up, but anyway, the art is really amazing. Yeah, I don't know if I'm locking up.
There, I'm back. So we've got gremlins in the pipeline. So thanks for bearing with us, everyone.
It's amazing that we get to communicate like this. Anyway, this is my first time doing this, so.
Well, you're doing great. And
like an art show that I'm just looking at on a screen. It's like illustrating all day long. You have like all these different people talking to you while you're trying to tell a story. So that's where I'm spending all my days right now, is in the ancient lands, and then I have to pop into making jewelry because that's what actually pays the bills. But then the storytelling is like, it's unreal. It's like we just had this huge landslide in Haines, and I see that how the mud has fallen down the hill, and you can see in the shadow it looks like a bear head, and then has legs coming down, and I could see all the symbols. But like right now, I just happen to be illustrating, and I'm looking at that symbol of this bear head, and I can see the shape within this rock slide that just happened in Haines. And that is, talking about that's the language of the land. So our art is just communicating what the symbols are in the actual land, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually,
it just happened. So I was like, do you see that? Like, there's the language. That's exactly that's how long the Haidas, Tlinkits, and Tsimshian people have been. At least I can just speak for that region, because that's where I'm from. That that the art is just what the mountains were speaking and people were seeing, and those are our symbols. I mean, just like the picture there with the sun behind my head there that I painted, like those symbols are, those come from the land. We're just communicating what the land is telling us to say.
Yeah, actually, I have, Oz, if you want to look on slide number 10, I have a little video we can play from Haines, Alaska. I also want to mention that Juneau is also having a lot of heavy weather and devastation as well. So let's watch this a little bit, and we can talk about the impact of Mother Nature on the land.
Mm-hmm. Hello. 6 people missing, homes destroyed after heavy rains caused landslides in Alaska. 6 people were missing in Haines, Alaska, on Wednesday after record rains triggered landslides that destroyed 4 homes in the mountainous southeast, state troopers said. The landslide covered the area in 9 feet of mud, trees and debris, an Alaska state trooper said in a written statement. Troopers and police evacuated residents by boat, but a search for the missing was suspended late on Wednesday due to rumbling unstable ground, the troopers said. A National Guard helicopter will fly in rescuers, search dogs and medics from Juneau on Thursday to continue efforts after severe turbulence prevented it from flying on Wednesday. Also helping in the search and evacuation was the U.S. Coast Guard, which said it sent a helicopter crew and a boat to Haines, and has 2 cutters prepared to launch. The government of the Haines Borough, home to about 2,500 people, has issued an emergency declaration for the storm that started on Monday. Rain is expected to continue, and ground conditions are unstable. The potential for additional debris flows and landslides over the next 24 hours is high, The borough statement said. Haines is at the northern end of Alaska's Inside Passage, a popular summer cruise ship destination. Multiple landslides, floods and high winds from the storm damaged other parts of southeast Alaska, officials and local news organizations reported. The storm set several single-day rainfall records, including 4 to 5 inches in Juneau, 5.37 inches in Skagway and 9.75 inches in the tiny fishing village of Pelican, according to preliminary National Weather Service figures. A flash flood warning remained in effect for Haines and other sites, and dangerous conditions continued throughout southeast Alaska, the National Weather Service said in a statement. People should avoid being outside in forested areas and around trees and branches, the Weather Service said. Thanks.
So yeah, 9 inches of rain in Pelican. Like that is insane. When people say that the Tongass National Rainforest is a rainforest, they're not kidding.
It is alive. That's, I mean, I just came from there. So, I mean, I haven't left. This is the first, I only left once to go get a root canal. And
that sounds like fun.
Almost 11 months I was there. And, but it has been amazing to see how much it's changed. Geez, like, but every year, like, it's like, oh, it couldn't be worse. And then it's like, oh, okay. Oh, every year it kind of changes. I mean, this winter or this summer, it rained the whole entire time. I mean, it never stopped raining. It was insanity. But then, like, we always forget because it's so beautiful. I mean, Southeast is like the land before time. So it's like when the sun does come out, it's like, you know, it's just like so amazing. And you forget that it just rained for like 2 months straight.
Yeah. I always like to say that, you know, when it's sunny in Southeast, it doesn't matter if you have laundry, if you have work, if, you know, the kids have homework, like you drop everything and you go recharge your batteries and you're like energized for another 3 weeks because it could rain every day for the next 3 weeks at any time.
Yes. Yeah, it was a lot of rain. It was a lot of rain. And so, I mean, I just got out of there. I mean, it was getting really cold when I live in a school bus. So when I'm in Alaska, I have a school bus and it was getting cold. So, and then after I left, it just started getting hammered with the rain. So I left just in time, but unfortunately there's, you know, it's like, this year, I have to say also is like after like all the salmon were spawning, it was like torrential, like downpour. And so, you know, there's so much happening with our ecosystems that I kind of forget when I'm here in Colorado, but now that I just like even just thought about that, like seeing like how hard it was raining and just going, I pray for those salmon eggs, man, like no other. Like they're like the salmon that are going to be produced right now are just going to be like the top ones, you know, like just because they're fighting so much out there right now. It seems like with, you know, their whole landscape is changing. And I've seen it every single year. I mean, I live literally on one of the oldest salmon fishing weirs in the whole entire Pacific Ocean. So it's like literally where the origins of salmon fishing like began. I live, and you know, it's just crazy to be like, there were all these huge like fishing weirs here, like dedicated to like the massive amounts of salmon that used to be that we had and were plentiful. And now those things are, they're relics, you know, like 10,000 years old. There used to be enough salmon, and now there's like, you know, like just praying that some of them make it back, you know. And I feel fortunate every time now I get to eat salmon. I'm like, I hope they come back, you know.
Yeah. No, I just made my kids watch The Town That Fish Built, and then I also made them watch like 3 other Sid Wright videos on the history of Alaska, because I was like, they're not going to get this. They're going to get, you know, they're not going to have that 8th grade Alaska history that's required by the state that we're so used to. So it was really cool to to have them experience that and learn some of the Alaskan history that you and I were, fortunate enough. I mean, I would say even in its whitewashed, most innocent forms, at least it was some historical pieces, if not all of them. But I think they did do, they did some good work for us. So
I think people, I mean, now that I do what I do, I understand that a lot of the teachers were like Midwesterners coming to Alaska to live. And, they were like doing their best with the limited amount of knowledge that was available to anybody trying to know about Native culture. Just definitely wasn't available when we were kids. And I have a lot of compassion now for the teachers that we had, because I for me personally, I actually had a lot of upset, I would say, about not getting like the true history and like having to go to college, come here to Durango. I came
all places
native culture and was like, oh my gosh, but Petersburg, sorry, yeah. I have a lot of compassion for the teachers now, and they were trying to do the best they could do. And, we've come like such a long way. Yeah. Look at Elizabeth Peratrovich. This is work that I just did this year, with a bunch of other amazing, women that, we were just dedicated to having like retelling history the proper way. And acknowledging the strong women, and fortunate for us, we grew up in Petersburg. Not that we ever knew about Elizabeth Petrovich, but everybody knows who she is now.
Yeah, no, it's I was so happy to see these projects happen. And having Diane Benson move back to Petersburg was fantastic. I was actually an extra in the movie that they made about her.
It was so magical. When Diane, Milena, and she's the one with the blue hat. Her and I went through like such a huge journey, like trying to get the mural done. And there was a lot of times where I was screaming at the community, and people were very upset with me. But, I knew that it was time, and Elizabeth Petrovich this was her day. And talk about spirit. It was just like Diane Benson, like showing up all of a sudden, like in our community. And we finally got all the funding together. And then even the day we had all these Wrangell people come over and sing and dance for us. And, it ended up being that everything else got canceled for the year, but we had a huge Elizabeth Petrovich celebration, and there was a rainbow like that came out while we were walking. Everyone's like, no way, and there's this huge rainbow for the parade of people. We walked around like downtown like twice, because there wasn't, there wasn't enough people the first time we walked around, and then like half the town showed up after we had already walked around the block. And then we just did it again, it's like this best part of the small town stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good
rainbow, and the Wrangell people came and sang and danced, and then all the elders who came in from the hospital, and they were crying, and it was just like it was so cool. It was a packed house.
That's amazing. So for everybody watching that doesn't know, Petersburg is a very Norwegian town, but it actually is.
Probably nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows but us. Because we were close to it.
People, you should know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So it's actually one of the top 5 fishing ports in the world, and it's near the southernmost tidewater glacier. And so the fresh fish market for the West Coast started here back at the turn of the century. And it has been a robust fishing community and hugely Nordic strong. But however, it was always Tlingit Fish Camp and settlement area far before that. But with our manifest destiny coming in and pretty much wiping that out to almost no extent, and so now having pieces and history come back, and Elizabeth Peratrovich was able to end Jim Crow laws in Alaska years before segregation.
The first anti-discrimination law that was passed in North America, because Alaska was still a territory, was by Elizabeth Peratrovich, was done because of her final testimony.
Yes.
Many people that were part of what happened, but the first anti-discrimination law in North America happened from a woman that was born in Petersburg, Alaska. And so to finally to have that being acknowledged, and then on the coin. But the other part of this story that when I talk about the spiritual part of it was that half of the building fell off. When we were looking for the location to paint the mural, the whole back of the building fell off. And so originally we were very excited to be like, haha, we get to put Elizabeth Petrovich on the courthouse building. Like, we were like, we were already like, we're winning, and she's on the courthouse. And then, but then the back of the whole, half of the back of the courthouse building fell off.
Oh my gosh.
Because she's like, I don't deserve to be on the back of the building, but then the whole building got repainted, and it had needed to be painted so bad.
Yeah, I don't think they have since they built it in the 80s.
No, it was still from wasn't there a video store, I don't know, Radio Shack or Radio Shack? I don't know.
It was a video store. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, strange time.
Yeah, it is not. It had not. It's like a shower that needs all that pink stuff off. It was you kind of see it and then you don't. It was but it's the courthouse of the main building of downtown Petersburg. So it's it needed to be done, and so it just was half the building fell off, and then we kept having delays, and then we got a whole new painted building, and then we got to put her on the front of the building. So it was such a cool, it was just an amazing day to be part of the mural of her on the wall, and then also the huge ceremony that we had for the whole community to come together was.
That's fantastic.
Epic. But yeah, Petersburg is ancient land, and so it felt good to honor her there finally. Yes. And everybody else.
It's very, very, very long overdue. So yeah, I was able to play the movie. We had a big event here in Olympia, Washington, and I played the movie after we had a big event. So it was pretty fun. And she got on the, what is it? The $1, is it a dollar coin, silver dollar coin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you see the likeness on, if you could put it to slide 7, if you see that likeness on a coin, that is Elizabeth Peratrovich, and she is an absolute hero of mine, and every child should know her name, and every Indigenous, and every woman in politics should know her name also. So that is my hope.
Yeah. She's amazing. I feel fortunate that I've been able to just keep her story going within our community, and how she's brought everybody together today. There's kind of these powerful people, they don't go away. Their spirits are still there, inspiring us. And yeah, it's an interesting time compared to the 80s, for instance, when we were babies. And there's no way we would have seen anything like this happening now, and now it's happening, and it's how come this didn't happen before, but it is. So I feel lucky now.
Yeah, For sure. Well, I found a little history that I thought I'd surprise you with. It's on slide 9, Oz, and so you lived in Ketchikan for a while.
I thought it might be the raid troll. Oh my gosh. This was like when I'm like, I had just had babies.
So for people who don't know Rachel is probably one of Alaska's more famous artists, mostly of t-shirt ilk, but he also, of course, does amazing, huge murals as well, and very prolific, and books as well. And you lived in Ketchikan for several years and had an art gallery.
Yeah, Ray and Michelle have had my jewelry for almost as long as I've been making jewelry. So like 20 years at the Soho Coho. Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever...
Ray was, Michelle was, came to the hospital after I had both of my kids. Ray was actually the first person to see my son at the hospital after I'd given birth. I mean, except for my husband. One of our other artist friends had like broken a leg and Ray came in, but also Ray is a Pisces and he really wanted Reed to be born on his birthday, but it didn't happen. But then he was at the hospital and he was the first one to see Reed, and Ray is an illustrator of, people give him fossils and then he recreates what the dinosaurs would have looked like with the fossils. And so he has this book, Sharkabat, which has been my son's like favorite book since forever. And Ray definitely inspired me to do all the work that I do. But Sharkabat, I just have to say, because Reed is a total genius. But we've been reading Ray's book since Ray was the first one at the hospital. So I have to give this backstory to this video because
And so my backstory,
my mammary glands are quite large in the video.
So my backstory to this also is, so Ray is also known in Alaska for having a bluegrass band, and it's Ray Troll and the Ratfish Wranglers. And they every year come to Juneau and participate in our Folklife Festival, which, if any of you know anything about Southeast or Alaska in general, we have a huge folk community and a huge bluegrass community that's pretty worldwide known, actually. So I found this video. I thought if we could listen to a little cut of it and hopefully not get thrown off YouTube for it. It is original.
I am waiting on a girl. Waiting on a girl.
They're waiting on me.
I am waiting on a girl.
She's got slime all down her dress.
Yeah, I'm waiting on a girl.
And she's a bloody mess.
Oh, I truly love her. I gotta confess. I'm waiting on a girl.
She's got entrails in her hair.
Yeah, I'm waiting on a girl.
And she don't really care.
Oh, rubber boots and Helly Hansons are her fire. Oh, yeah. I'm waiting on a girl.
And it's getting pretty late.
Yeah, I'm waiting on a girl.
And I can plainly state,
Oh, she's more fun than a bucket full of bait. Yeah. Well, I saw it for the first time walking down that dock. She had a humpy head in her hand. It really turned me on the way she backed her head. So I really want to understand my cannery girl. I love my cannery girl. Oh, yeah. Cannery girl. I love my cannery girl. Oh, yeah. I'm waiting on a girl.
she's so good with a spoon.
I'm waiting on a girl.
And she's crazy as a loon.
I'm gonna meet her, yeah, in the smokehouse room. Yeah, baby.
Probably faded.
Oh, I'm waiting on a girl.
She's so goddamn
Quite some
cute.
time.
I'm waiting on a girl.
And there is no substitute.
Oh, when I meet her in her birthday suit. Oh, yeah, but I'm waiting on a girl.
And I'm standing in the
September. Oh, she'll get on that plane. Oh, baby, goodbye, honey. Oh, it broke my heart when I read that note. Just a line on the break room floor. She said she's going home to her mom and dad. Oh, I guess I'll never get to score. Oh, my cannery girl, I love my cannery girl. Oh, yeah. Cannery girl, I love my catchy cannery girl. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely how I spent my entire
Well, I saw her for the first time walking down that dock. She had a humpy head in her hand. It really turned me on the way she packed her eggs. So I really want to understand. Cannery girl, I love my cannery girl. Oh, yeah. Cannery girl, I love my catchy cannery girl. Oh, baby. Cannery girl, I love my cannery girl. Oh, yeah. Cannery girl, I love my catchy cannery girl. I love her. Yeah, I do.
Yay! Yes, so we literally spent our teenage years working in canneries and on boats, and that was 12 to 16 hours of my day from the age of, well, I started working on my dad's boat when I was 8, going fishing in the summertime. So yeah, that was it.
That was life. I know. I worked in the. I had it pretty lucky. I worked in the canning with the retorts. With the retorts. It was like me and 20 dudes from like California. I was like, yeah, like just like put shrink wrap down on like a pallet of like canned salmon. Chump.
I did everything but work in the egg room. I think I was on. I think my first, when I was 14, I got a work permit to band crab, and I've never banded a crab. Just to be clear with that, they threw me straight on the slime line, which is what you saw with the salmon, and that is exactly what it was like. And I did that for about 2 weeks. And then after that, I was doing the supervisor's job, which was pulling and weighing totes. And he pretty much sat there and watched me, which was great. So that was
those are good times.
Yeah. We had some fun. We had some hijinks. I almost died in an ice house once. This guy, some cannery guy from California, like, I'm going to go check on the boat. And he turned off the chute just as I had like hit a huge wall of ice. And I got sucked up past my chest in chip ice, could not move. I was, I'm in there by myself for like 20 minutes. Nobody could hear me. I literally could have froze to death if it would have been longer. So yeah, crazy times.
I'm so glad you lived.
Right? I'm so glad he came back and checked on me. I had to
because we should not be here. Like
we've lived many lives in a short few. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody watching us. I know for some of you on the East Coast, it's late, but I see you, Stevie and Jeffrey and Britt McKinney and Shanda and Cirrus and Gargar. How's it going? Hope you guys are having a great night. We have been doing some cool things with Roar Media here, and I just wanted to let everybody know we got our 501c3 filed. We got monetization up and running. We are accepting multiple types of cryptocurrency for donations, which is cool and new. And just regular, 501c3 donations. So feel free to support us and see how we can support artists. That was part of the reason I wanted to have Janine on tonight, is just to talk about, how things in the world of 2020, here we've made it to December. Like, I think we all get an award for that. And I think it would be great to, just talk about what it's like to be an artist in this crazy time. You mentioned our little town of Petersburg now has one postal worker, and you have to stand in line. Like, this is a town with no delivery. And so you have to stand in line for hours just to get your mail.
Yeah, it was, so when COVID hit, I had just been in Hawaii, because I live on a farm in Hawaii as well. And then I went to Petersburg, and my kids went back with their dad, which is here in Colorado. And I was there, but then COVID hit, and then it just was like stuck. Like, it was like literally got stuck on an island in Alaska. Fortunately, it was the island I grew up on, but and I was illustrating my first book for Robert and Sarah Davidson. And I don't know how much the first book, I guess I'll say, it's about, part of it has to do with Davis boats, which are these like really cool, what I used was a Davis boat, which are these old school hand-built boats. That were originated with the Tsimshian on Annette Island. And it was like a combination of like a canoe and then like an East Coast like dinghy. And so the wood would expand and contract. And then the way that it was built, because the main Davis guy, I've forgotten his name, but he had to do with the gold rush and was like building like all these boats as fast as they could for all these guys going up these rivers like down south. And then he brought that technology back to southeastern Alaska. And actually those boats are what started the fishing industry as we know it, was because of the Davis boats, and how you could go in the morning and then by the afternoon have a boat built. They're like dinghy kind of boats. So but it was just fascinating. And so for me, this time to start these books during COVID, and then like trying to get a hold of like a boat, and like it just turned out that my neighbor does like these old boats, and I got to fall in love with the boat, a rowboat.
That's awesome.
Like because I live on an ancient fish trap, and so when that's where the boat, these boats are, and so it was like March when I really started in on that, and like the ice, like every day it would change, because the tide would go out, and then the boat would be sitting there, and it would be like tilted over and kind of in the mud, or the tide would come in, and we were having high tides, so then the boat would move all the way up the beach, so it was like all day I'm like just coming back and forth, walking down to this property we have, and seeing where the boat is at, and then like seeing how if it's not gonna like crash, or I'm borrowing an old handmade boat, like there's just a different like bit of reality that most people don't get to have. And like the land before time, like I said, it's the most ancient fish traps in the whole Pacific Ocean. It's like where I'm going into the mind of being in an ancient time. So, I mean, it was like, so, my reality is like, I'm like on a different reality, and so like during the time of COVID, I was definitely just like, I was going back in time, and, looking at ancient symbols, as you can kind of see the stuff. I like the sacred geometry, and incorporating that with the form line and rose mauling. And yeah, I see the mathematics to it, and just because I'm observing so many people and these ancient like masters, like I kind of, like I go into their minds, because a lot of times with like the argillite or argillite, that like whenever you're as an artist, you're recreating somebody else's art, you're kind of jumping into their spirit, is the best way that I can articulate what happens to me. And so, I'm kind of going into this ancient time, like a land before time, like I'm saying. And so like I kind of pop in and out of like that reality. The jewelry, I think, is what pops me back into like the third dimensional stuff. Cause,
because you have to, that sounds like a great way to spend COVID. I mean, if I could have traded places with you, I would have, I think, because I grew up rowing up, and when you like rowing boats and
right.
following the tide, like the tide rules your life. It rules when you want to leave and where you're able to take your boat or your body or your groceries. You plan all those things very closely, and they're not like, I guess, tides here in Seattle. We're talking 20, 30 foot tides in Alaska. So it's a major undertaking. It's pretty,
it's a living, breathing creature. The tide is. And then when you have a boat and you're going to check on it every day, you're down there, you're looking at the mud, you're looking at the ice, where the ice is. And then if you're just sitting there, all of a sudden you're just listening to all the birds, and then all of a sudden all the birds are coming in, and then, oh wait, there's a seal. And then, then the tide starts coming in, and then you're like, wait, maybe I should just hang out with the boat for a little bit longer. Maybe I need to do something on the boat. Now it's noon.
That sounds.
And I'm like, and this is what the men have been doing all this time. They're all just like checking it out, drinking the coffee. It's so wonderful. I guess in that way, I was like, it took a little while, because I was like, oh, you mean I don't have to go talk to a bunch of people, and I just gotta like hang out with the boat and like watch a boat? Like, I guess the beginning of COVID seemed pretty okay to me.
Well, congratulations on being able to continue making art and, surviving mentally through some hard months for some people. I feel lucky. It was challenging, but I guess I feel fortunate, because I was able to not be like stuck in an apartment, and that I have a massive, ability to I get to live, my imagination. So where I realized being in an apartment, it's a lot more challenging to be like, yay, I'm going to look at a boat, Yeah. You're lucky if you have car parking.
Well, yeah, car parking. Yeah, no parking. Like, I never have to deal with parking ever. It's not a thing.
And so now your next adventure is taking you back to your farm in Hawaii. And I was trying to get some videos to play, so I apologize that the Googleverse was not behaving well to get them uploaded. But you've been living on seasonally on this farm on the Big Island, and tell me a little bit about that experience, because a lot of activism, political strife has been happening. I, of course, have been following the events on Mauna Kea, and of course, all of the pesticide testing and chemical testing issues with much of Hawaii for a really long time. So,
well, for me, before the Mauna Kea thing was kind of going down, I had been traveling a lot back and forth from Haida Gwaii to Hawaii. Like, that was like, I used to, with my children, would do month on, month off for our custody. And so when I would be traveling, I would be like, leave out, because I'm a very nomadic person. I've tried to change. it's not going to happen.
Just go with it.
That's what happens when you're in your 40s. You finally are like, no, this is just who I am. And part of me is that I love to go to Hawaii. And
It's a very Alaskan thing to do too.
yes, yeah, there's lots of us there. Anyway, but at that time I was flying a lot from Haida Gwaii to Hawaii and back because I had ancient Haida stories that I was trying to get told about our ancient navigation. So the story that I was given permission to tell and to kind of to do has to do with some fellows a long time ago that had got blown away at sea from Haida Gwaii and ended up in Hawaii and then stayed and lived there a few years and then made their way back. And then in true Haida fashion, a couple people got killed on the way back and then the whole village got wiped out. But then the guys made it back and it was great. But the really cool part, because that's how I spend my days is in Haida land, Haida storytelling. So I was going back and forth between Haida Gwaii and Hawaii a lot before the Mauna Kea stuff had occurred, and was gaining like all these like oral tradition stories and these ancient connections that the Haidas have with the Hawaiians and so I was already kind of going back and forth there, and about 3 times back when I was traveling there. One of my friends that I actually met in Alaska, we had done a lot of ceremony like on the beaches there because he was Hawaiian, part of the Native American church. It's kind of a long story, but I had a giant octopus that I had painted, and I'd taken a photograph of it. And then the next day there was like a giant squid that was on my beach, right where I'd photographed the octopus. But my friend Jeremiah happened to be there, and we had like sang like these ancient Hawaiian songs to kind of bless this. I had just moved into this house on Sandy Beach. And so this Jeremiah is my friend, and we do a lot of crazy things happen around us. And so he also lives in Hawaii, and I adore him and his girlfriend. They're so sweet. She's a gardener. She's definitely part of the Hawaii story because she's a massive gardener. She's always lots of fruits. There's just so much knowledge. But anyway, Jeremiah said, "You need a place to stay, sis. You just give me a call." And I was like, "Okay, do you have a place for me tomorrow?" And then it was like, okay.
Showing up.
The next day. Because I had been in Canada, like doing Haida stuff, and I was like, I'm going to Hawaii tomorrow. So I was on the farm like the next day, and it just turned out so wonderfully because I do a lot of spiritual things, and so Jeremiah, really includes me in that in the Hawaiian stuff. And so that year we did we do all the different ceremonial things and to give offerings that we then brought up to Mauna Kea at the top on the solstice. So I've done that a couple of times. And the first time we did it for Mauna Kea, that was when it was there was no access. So they only let up, I think, 1 or 2 cars a day. And wow. So our car was the car that got to go up and give out. That was the video that you're talking about. We got to go up and give offerings up at the top. But there's ceremony that happens like throughout the day, and preparations of food and different things like that. So it seems like a lot of different things, but it's all totally connected to the Hawaiians and the Haidas and the Tlinkits, and these connections where, we're giving praise on a beach in Alaska. And then, of course, to finish it off is to go up to like the tallest place on the planet and to give thanks, so we were, kind of closing that, that we're opening and closing a circle. So
awesome.
And is powerful. Hawaii is powerful like that. I think, like she is, she's powerful. And so it brings me back there all the time. And, for me, I'm on this property that my friend owns the property, and there's about 3 different like school buses on the property. There's a couple bell tents, a couple stone homes.
Awesome.
Now there's 30 different trees that can be harvested. All sorts of different fruits and vegetables and avocados and bananas and it's a good place to be. This, like in the ancient days, like we go to Hawaii, and in the present day we still go to Hawaii.
Yeah. I have lots of friends from various parts of the, Ring of Fire and the Pacific Island people, whether you're talking to somebody from Haida Gwaii and, to New Zealand, to, northern parts of Japan, to the Philippines, Indonesia, like the cultural similarities are so intricate and amazing. And I love hearing the stories, and because I've been thankful enough to be immersed in Southeast Alaska and in the Pacific Northwest, I've been able to make these amazing connections. So, and I completely relate with, communal living and living vicariously, and, small farming and communal living, I really think is a very, very important thing that we can be doing. And it actually kind of leads into a couple of the stories I wanted to bring up tonight, which have to do with what's happening in the rest of the world. And the first one is coming out of India, and they're having massive, massive protests by the farmers. And all of these are so I find the intricacies so closely related, to knowing what our traditions are, knowing where our food comes from, and knowing how we're connected to the earth. And there's a huge movement out there trying to stop that. And so, being able to tell stories and create art is so important. But if you want to play a little bit of this, Oz, let's see what's happening in India this week.
This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh. As we turn to India, where tens of thousands of farmers are converging on the capital city of New Delhi by tractor and on foot to demand the repeal of new laws that deregulate agricultural markets. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says the measures give farmers more freedom to set their own prices and sell directly to corporate buyers. But opponents say the neoliberal policies are a boon to corporations and roll back key labor and crop price protections that could have a devastating impact on the livelihood of farmers. Agriculture is the leading source of income for more than half of India's 1.3 billion population. The ongoing protests come after a nationwide demonstration Thursday when an estimated 250 million workers, farmers, and their allies joined in what's believed to be the largest organized strike in history anywhere in the world. Organizers say tens of thousands of demonstrators have now gathered at each of New Delhi's 3 borders in cold winter conditions, and more farmers are on their way. Police have put up barriers to block them from coming into the center of the city. This is one of the farmers protesting.
India is my country, and Delhi is the capital of my country. I am not even allowed to enter my capital city. This is in spite of farmers never doing any hooliganism. Our whole movement has been peaceful. They also showered us with water cannons. We were also beaten, but no farmers retaliated violently.
Today, Indian government officials are meeting with farmer representatives for a 4th time, and farmer union leaders have invited Agricultural Minister Narendra Singh Tomar to their protest site. This comes as COVID rages through India, which has reported more cases than any country.
Yeah, so pretty insane. You're not hearing that on the 5 o'clock news. I don't know about you, but 250 million people protesting in one spot, and more on their way. That is mighty and impressive, and I hope that could be, brought up more, but we're not seeing it nearly enough. And we should be doing that here, but we're not.
People
But-
are so disconnected from their food. It's yeah, I could talk a lot about food.
Yes, but both of us have had major food journeys, so
Yeah, major food journeys. Oh, could you get me a glass of water?
it's you know, and maybe we could watch it. We can watch a little bit of this next video. I don't know if the cut stuck, Oz, but I mean, they're literally calling these farmers terrorists. It's the most
Indian
insane
farmers
thing.
blocking roads in a protest against new laws are refusing to move to a government-designated venue. Thousands have been campaigning on major highways near the capital, New Delhi. The farmers say they're open to talks with the government as long as there are no preconditions. They say the new laws will hurt crop prices and their livelihoods. The latest now from Elizabeth Puranam, who's at the protest site on the Singhu border crossing between the states of Delhi and Haryana. Liz, I don't know whether you can hear me. What's the latest there?
Hi, Adrian. That's right. We are at the Singhu border crossing between Haryana and Delhi, and the numbers here are just getting bigger and bigger with each passing day. Delhi police estimate that there are around 20,000 people here, and they say that there are even more at another crossing between those two states, and farmers and protesters are blocking yet another key highway coming into Delhi, and those farmers are from the states of Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand, and they're blocking the Ghaziabad highway. Now, only a few hundred farmers have actually moved to the area that's been designated by the government for protests, and that's because most farmers say that that area is going to be an open-air jail. And despite the government saying yesterday that they are open to immediate talks with the farmers about these laws that the farmers are against, if they just clear the highways, farmers say that they would rather continue to block these highways, create as much disruption as possible until the government not just negotiates with them about these laws, because that's happened. They say that that didn't go anywhere, but until they repeal laws which they say will remove a minimum price for their produce.
Al Jazeera's Elizabeth
you can
Puranam
cut it there,
reporting
Oz.
Live there from the single border crossing. Many thanks indeed.
Yeah,
Liz.
it's just insane the large amount of people that I mean, they've literally just moved in and sat Gandhi style, and it's incredible. It's you know, I can't even fathom. I mean, what has our largest movements been in this country? 1 million most at the most.
I mean, when would we ever see that many farmers in the United States get together?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that would never, I'd never happen. Like, you know, farmers really carry it all, you know, too, though. Like it's farming is so key. And, you know, I feel for, you know, we need farmers. We need to keep our farmers happy. You know, we also need to take care of our planet and do sustainable farming as well. And, you know, people are starving from like not having food, but then people are starving from having food that's not even, it's just cardboard, you know? So there's, you know, multiple types of starvation that we're dealing with here, you know, these days. And, you know, farmers are really the backbone of keeping everybody alive. You know, we grew up with fish farmers, you know, not fish farmers, but ocean. Never mind.
We had hippie kelp farmers now.
Yeah.
Another
but,
one
you
of
know, we're people that are getting the food from the land, you know, like those are, you know, if I learned anything from COVID times, especially being up in Alaska, it's about where is your food coming from and how much food do you have? Is more food coming? Because in some of our communities in Southeast, we didn't have any ferry service. So, you know, we were dealing with other issues where people were skiffing food over, you know, in a skiff, a dinghy, or like a boat with a motor.
Open boat.
For people that aren't boat people, you know, a dinghy, a skiff. But but I mean, food scarcity is a really huge deal. And then when you don't have, food being delivered, that, people have become addicted to getting, their food delivered. We have to when you live on an island, so I guess addiction is not the right word, but when you're on an island, you have to choose what your food is going to be if there's not going to be a bunch more food coming. You just you got to choose your nutrition, and I have a lot of food allergies nowadays, so I'm always going to be choosing like well, we hunt and things like that up in Alaska, and so this time around, because usually I've spent lots of times in my life as a vegan, as a raw foodist, and all of those things had a time, but I'm so much more slender than I've ever been in my entire life because I can't eat dairy or nuts or gluten. So yeah, I can't eat any of those things anymore because my body like full on rejects it. So I can only eat food that's pure, and so I eat a lot of sweet potatoes. And even though there's some like crazy animals, I love deer. So for me, like, because I was so slender, like I was just eating like as much deer fat as I could, like, and it's like, it sounds so crazy, but it was like, if you only have so much money and you only have so many food choices, you get to choose your nutrition. And for me, it was like sweet potatoes and maple syrup and deer.
Which is not bad. I mean, if you have to pick, I wouldn't be sad about that.
I felt like so blessed. Are you kidding me? I'm like, this is the life. Like, they totally lied to us when they make us eat this stuff from the grocery store down south, when it's like you get like big old white king salmon or like, I will be vegetarian again, but while I'm here, I'm going to appreciate the salmon.
While we still have salmon left, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up today, especially because I see the connections between what I call the new chemical processed vegan food, meat alternatives, and what's happening in India with those farmers. And so they have come out with a new genetically engineered chicken meat that is available in Europe. Yeah, it's which is the state of industrial farming in the United States is terrible enough, but now we're going to move it into the petri dish and hope that it's better. And I have zero faith in that effort.
You are what you eat.
Yes.
And the less, like, what I've learned from not eating very much of different, because I'm so allergic, is that I can full on feel the frequency of a food. So because when you start having allergies, you notice right away if something doesn't make you feel well. Whereas if you're completely desensitized, you'll just be like, eating, whatever you're going to eat. I don't know, because I can't eat that stuff. It looks gross to me. And because I can feel that it's super low frequency. Like, yeah,
this would have zero frequency.
Zero. There's no reason to eat that. Like, I mean, you see people literally in Africa eating dust pancakes. Dust pancakes have more minerals than that stuff. At least there was like maybe some love put into the dirt pancakes, but like literally all of the love and things that are life-giving have been stripped of those things and then injected with other stuff that was like nasty. And then like, people were sad while they were touching it, and then you're going to eat it. And then you're like, what? There's like no nutrition. There's no reason to eat it except for laziness.
And our entire culture right now in the United States is based on foods of negative nutritive value. And to me,
that's the thing is like when we were in high school and, living off of like Diet Coke and like Trident bubble gum. And, I lost, like what they told us was how you needed to be slender, and do all these stupid things that we were like programmed to think makes you happy.
Light mayonnaise.
Like all these allergies. and, you know, serious dental issues, you know, and then now, I mean, yeah, now it's like, and now we can feel every single chemical that even touches our teeth because we're like so sensitive, like in a way, like we're like androids to like, you know, the gross stuff, you know. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's very, you know, canary in the coal mine, you know, it's
Yeah.
we you know, and it started with the TV dinner and the loss of union jobs and dinner time, and moved quickly into a life of convenience and your cocktail hour, and now we're like, work 40 jobs a week so you can get in line at the food bank, you know. And it's like we lost that connection.
Yeah, we lost that. Well, you know, I feel like now that I'm, you know, in my mid 40s now, whatever, you know, and looking back to when I like started having to fasting, gallbladder cleanses, I started doing that like when I was, when I was in my early 20s, and it changed my life, like, because Western medicine never helped me with anything. It only makes you feel worse. And then they're like, you know, when doctors can't figure out what's wrong with you, they're like, oh, you have conversion disorder. You're making things happen to yourself. Here, take this, do that, eat this. You want some hypnosis? You know, and you're like, this is so stupid. Like what a waste of money, you know? And then for me, it was like, I didn't want to do that stuff anymore. And then I started doing liver gallbladder cleanses, and it like changed my whole life, you know? But now, I still have allergies and things like that, but you know, like I literally eat deer fat. Like I literally will go and like fry up some deer fat and like eat it, and I weigh 125 pounds. You know, like
probably way healthier than you ever were with a aspartame diet.
Exactly. And I eat like way, you know, like food that like tastes so good. And like, I mean, I could eat like a half a cube of butter, like, you know, like, I don't know if that's great, but I mean, I can eat a lot of like very high fat things, which we were told when we were kids would make you fat. And so we ate tons of sugar and drank Diet Coke and yeah.
Hello, diabetes.
Whatever those nugget things are. I don't think we would have eaten those because those kind of make you feel fat or whatever. But, you know, like it was all a lie, because when you are fully like eating food that's like full of nutrition that's alive, you know, you don't need to eat so much of that weird stuff. You know, it's not even food. It's just.
Yeah. Well, let's play a little bit of Vandana Shiva on the next slide, talking with another one of my favorite professors, Andre Liu, about some of these chemical company takeovers of the food industry.
I just want to welcome one of our great global citizens and someone I'm very proud to call a friend, Dr. Vandana Shiva.
Andre, you and I were all there at the Paris summit on climate. And I remember we said it doesn't matter what the governments will do, but we planted a garden of hope and regeneration. But it's at that summit that Bill Gates was walking around with the heads of state, and he was offering the solutions. And the solutions that were announced then with Zuckerberg and him were geoengineering and genetic engineering. This new paper was published in Medium. It's called Software to Swallow. Impossible foods should be called impossible patterns. And Bill Gates is a very big funder of this. As a Silicon Valley, this fake burger full of toxics is riding on Silicon Valley money, including Bill Gates money. And I'd just like to read this to you. Impossible food should really be called impossible patterns. It's not food, it's software, intellectual property, 14 patents. 14 patents to fake your food when we could just grow good seed and good soil and eat the best of food and have a very healthy gut and a lot of health. They need 14 patents. In fact, in each bite of Impossible Burger, with over 100 additional patents pending for animal proxies from chicken to fish. It's iFood, the next killer app. Just download your flavor. It's a food operating system, a predecessor perhaps to a merger with Microsoft, MS Food. The business model is already etched in Silicon Valley. Licensed core technology, protein synthesis. If you're a vegetarian, eat plants. Why, as a vegetarian or a vegan, do you want to go to a fake burger which makes it look like there's blood seeping through it and makes it look like meat? If continents were invaded in this colonialism, our bodies are being invaded and being turned into controlled objects. And the Impossible Burger, well, the ingredients, as you know, are genetically modified soya, but then also the processing is all genetically modified yeast. So it's really a lump of GMO. Don't eat your pulses and your dals. Eat GMO soya. And the vegans are celebrating it, when they should be fighting for real food with the knowledge that what you eat becomes you. And if you're eating GMO ingredients processed through GMO microbes, you are really eating toxic food at the highest level. And I do think we need a campaign. Andre, we need a campaign in Regeneration International that not only should this be tested, but if any hazard is found, it should be totally banned. So there are three ways in which the tech barons are continuing the work of the poison cartel. At a time when the movements were starting to say, keep your poisons away, Europe has just passed a law, Farm to Fork, 50% reduction in pesticides. India has just banned 27 pesticides. So here are movements trying to get rid of poison, saying we'll have a poison-free food and farming system. That is precisely when they are giving a new boost to the poison cartel. First and foremost, by talking about digital agriculture as an agriculture without farmers. Now, you're a farmer, we farm, we know true farming is farming with care. We need more eyes on the land. We need more hands on the land. We need more biodiversity and friends on the land, as you keep showing friends from your farm and your orchard. They want farming without farmers. They want giant-sized monocultures with soil.
Yeah, so Vandana, she can go off, and she, of all the people who rant, her rants, man, they are so dead on. She has a PhD. She is one of the most brilliant women, I think, of our time, and she has been taking them to task on the chemical cartel and the ruining of the seed, of Mother Earth, of our ability to grow, of our fertility, of not just land but people. It's so insane to me, and especially with COVID happening and the Great Reset, and you see 250 million farmers up in arms in India and standing in place. They mean something, and that change is what they're trying to get rid of. They're trying to make that go away. They're trying not to show it in the news, and that's what that's why I think it's so amazing that you're able to go to an organic farm and raise bees, which I think are one of the key pieces to us having any diversity left. And we've got some amazing things that we're doing with this show and with this channel. And I know some of you on the Natural Progressive are learning some of the changes, but we're going to be bringing on some amazing guests and people and projects also. We really want to grow this in a very organic way that is here to benefit humanity and stop some of the, Vandana calls them the chemical cartel, or she calls them the poison cartel. I call them the chemical cartel because it becomes so much larger than that. But it's oil and gas, it's petrochemicals, it's, pharmaceuticals, and now merged with Silicon Valley and unfettered capitalism that is we're up against. And it literally is going to be, that small fisherman in Southeast Alaska still trying to work the land, or, one little small farm here, we need to change that dynamic, and it's gonna really take all of us to do that. you don't actually have to play this slide, Oz. This was just another tip I'll just briefly mention since we're a little past time, is that one of the big news cycles this week was that Pfizer received full immunity in the UK for the new COVID vaccine. And this is just a little top 10, but maybe I'll play it sometime in the next week for you guys. But, in the US, of course, there's two industries that have complete immunity in all of all liability. And that's the nuclear energy industry, and it's the vaccine industry. You cannot sue them. You cannot claim damages, and they have no financial harm in the products that they put to market. And we have given them that carte blanche. And now we're seeing that happen in the other parts of the world. Why? Because they won't release them or give them access to these until they agree to their demands. So they literally operate like a cartel. It's absolutely awful to see what has happened in these sectors. And, we have to keep talking about it. We can't just pretend it's not happening, because it is. And, these chemicals in our environment greatly protect, they ruin our ability to sense vibration and sense chemicals and sense harm. And, why is anxiety overtaken our health in this country? Because we've damaged our gut so poorly, with chemical overload. And so we have to find ways to rebuild that and really talk about true immunity and true health and what that means. And it's a different story for every single person you're ever going to meet. And I know you've had your journey and I've had my journey, and I'm sure neither of them are over yet. And we can come back in a while and talk more about it. But, it's just so important to me that, we're able to have these conversations and have space for that and be able to support artists. Please do not go shop at Walmart. Please go find an artisan. You can go on Etsy and buy Janine's jewelry. You can buy her books on the Sea Alaska Heritage website, which I've put in the chat. You can get some Joey's coffee because it is a special day that we have. It's 2 birthdays happening today. If you want to pull our lovely faces away, it is my dad's 70th birthday today. Happy birthday, Dad. We love you. And it is also Miss Joy LaFave's birthday, and she is turning 1 today. So happy birthday, Joey. And I love your coffee. She makes the most amazing hand-roasted coffee, Janine. She has an Etsy site too. So we love to support our people and just want to make sure that everybody is doing well out there. And thank you guys for watching. Do you have any last inspiring words as we kick out the holidays and approach the solstice in this crazy year of 2020?
2020. What a year. What a year. I think we've all learned, I don't think anyone didn't, how do we say that? Everyone learned something from 2020 for sure. If you didn't learn at least 10 new things, I don't know where you were at. You couldn't have you could have slept for a large part of 2020, but then also at the same time, every time you woke up, you were jolted out with a heart attack machine or something, right? The rest has never been solid.
It's been uneasy. To say
2021, I pray everyone, I pray for the planet, and I pray that, we have everyone gets to have good, healthy food and fresh air and, a healthy outlook on life. And, I just pray for everyone to feel just a sense of relief and healthy, being healthy is so key. And I hope for everyone, 2021 is that year. And, that farmers are getting their due for sure. They're the ones that keep us going, and healthy seeds are so important. Healthy water. We need to really give a lot of respect to our farmers, and, maybe hopefully a lot of people in my hope would be going out to work in farms and to be, getting back to what is real, which is like putting your hands in the dirt and breathing the air and watching things grow. You know, if you spend the time to watch things grow, you're going to take a lot more time to care about what you're putting into your body, because when you see the life cycle of something and watering it and all the nutrients it needs, you're not going to want to put yucky stuff into your body when you see how hard it is to grow something from seed, you know, that you get to eat. You just have a whole new respect for that. And I hope that all people feel that, and maybe Bill Gates will feel like really yucky, you know, from just eating all that gross stuff that's not even real. And he'll be like, you know what, could somebody get me a really good like green smoothie, organic, you know, farm, you know, like some healthy water. I want like the best pH water growing that stuff, you know, like that's what we could hope, because if everybody wanted to feel well, like it would just be great, right? So that's my prayer. I
would gift him some magic mushrooms and a good enema.
Little
maybe
ayahuasca,
Kangen water to reset his thought process and connect with the earth and stop trying to destroy it.
Yeah, just to feel like true connection. You know, I think the gratitude that I have for growing up in southeastern Alaska is that it is so alive there. And with as alive as it is, once you know things that are like truly alive, it's hard to go back to things that are like dead, you know. And we eat a lot of yucky dead things that are have like the lowest possible frequency, like that woman was saying. Like it's like beyond dead. It's like the worst kind. It's like it's the worst beyond worse, you know. And so we could only hope that everybody wants to start to feel well, you know.
Yes. So I hope all of you out there, you know, enjoyed the show and learned something new, maybe about crazy boat life, to, you know, something about Elizabeth Peradovich. If you haven't heard her name, please go look it up. Please go teach somebody younger than you about her. So she's very special. And thank you, Janine, for coming on tonight. And thank you for all the work you've done and the beautiful art you've made. And I cherish all your jewelry pieces.
Our crazy childhood.
Yes. and now we get to watch our kids grow up.
Yeah.
So thank you, Oz. If you want to take us away with some of our ending slides, and you guys all have a lovely weekend. I know we've got Beauty and the Boomer coming up tomorrow night, and we'll be back for the night dive on Monday night. Have a lovely weekend.